Hopefully now you can see the intro page. So today I'm going to be demonstrating the Nimbus Threat Monitor. This is Team Cymru's no-cost network threat monitoring solution that's available to network operators around the world. This is part of our community services outreach efforts as Team Cymru as a whole. And for those that don't know about us, we operate for one central mission: to save and improve human lives. In part of our community services projects, we offer free services to network operators like yourselves, but we also work with regional and national CSIRT teams across the world, sharing free threat intelligence data to regional and national CSIRT teams. We share free network threat intelligence data to network operators as well. And our free community service tools receive over 100 million queries per day. Today, we're going to be talking about the Nimbus Threat Monitor, but just to quickly go through them, we do offer several other free services. And out of respect for your time, I'll only mention one here. If you don't sign up for any of the other ones, I would strongly recommend that you sign up for the Dragon News Byte service. This is a free mailing list where we have hand-curated threat intelligence data and relevant news stories shared, about 5 to 10 stories per day, every day of the week. And several of your peers and our peers within the community rely on the Dragon News Byte service daily to stay on top of the threat landscape and changes to it. And with that, let me switch over to the Nimbus solution. So the Nimbus Threat Monitor solution is our enriched view built into a Elasticsearch and Kibana stack. The first page that you'll see here is a list of the dashboards that we make available to you. And these can be roughly broken up by the target audience. The first 5 dashboards are more of a network view showing some information and statistics on what's happening on your network. I got ahead of myself just slightly here. So this solution is a hosted solution. It's available free to you, no cost. We maintain the systems. And it's quite low overhead for network operators to start diving into it and using it quite right away. We handle everything for you. You just have a few configuration things to turn on, and then everything will be up and operational. But going back into the dashboards here, the first 5, like I said, are for network operators, and they talk about and show some network statistics data. The next 2 are the threat intelligence data. So it's a match of your network or your ASN against threat intelligence data that Team Cymru curates and makes available to you. These will be relevant threats in a near real-time fashion of what's going on your network. And finally, at the bottom, we have 3 dashboards that are more definitions and knowledge-based sort of dashboards. And they're useful for looking up different things like, what do the report descriptions mean? What are TCP/IP port pairings, and how can you resolve like a numeric representation of TCP flags to what the flags actually are? With that, we'll dive right into the flows overview. This is our most summarized page within the entire product. This page will retain data for 1 year. And here you can see a very broad overview of what's going on your network. Pardon me, just one moment. The time frame that we're looking at right now is a 24-hour window. This is live on one of our partners networks that has agreed to allow us to show this to you. So thank you to that particular partner. But this graph shows you some of the top level statistics on your network. You can see here a summarized 24-hour view of some core metrics, the total alerts that were generated over that 24-hour period. And you can see the routers that are involved. Now, since this is a Kibana instance, all of these can become filters. So anything that you have configured, if you click it, it can become a filter. and update your view. So it allows you to see if you have multiple routers configured that are exporting data, right away you can start to see what the traffic rates at different routers or different exchanges might look like. And the graphs here show traffic broken out by the total bandwidth, packets, and the individual sessions. The other thing to mention is, since this is Kibana as well, you can highlight a particular set of time, and everything on the page will update to show you that new view. After the overview page, we break data down by particular details. So the first page I'll show is broken out by flows. This page also presents you with several different high-level details. So the traffic broken out by the percentage of different protocols, as an example, is available here. And if you wanted to see, for example, how much of your network traffic is UDP traffic, clicking that becomes a filter. And now you're looking at only the traffic for your, only the traffic that is UDP traffic. This page also allows you to look at data flow between different ASs that are flowing through your network. So if you're an edge network, then this would be most useful to see your AS and what ASs it's communicating with. At the bottom of this page, we have some high-level statistics on the traffic flow by top ASN, where data is coming from, as well as top ASN that data is flowing to. And here we have a drop-down box where you can select to look into particular networks. The top 10 is shown by default. So if, for example, we had a new peer and we wanted to see, how much over a certain period of time of the traffic has a source coming from that new peer, we can do that quite easily. And adding the filters removing the filters is just as easy as adding it. We can remove the filter just by clicking up here within the filter list. Talking about peering opportunities, most of the time for peering purposes, you want to look at bandwidth usage, not the total number of sessions. From a traffic perspective, it's not entirely relevant how many sessions there are for peering purposes. So on this traffic page, you can see the metrics showing where the top source ASN for your traffic coming into your network, as well as the top destination ASNs for traffic flowing out of your network. This could turn into a very easy way of seeing that your top peering opportunities for your network. And these right now are set to show the top 5 networks, but if you've already peered with all of these networks, for example, and you wanted to look at the next top 5, by clicking other, it creates a filter that shows you the next top 5. And up here, you can see the filter displayed up here. Again, removing it is just as easy as clicking the remove filter. And then we go back to the default view. The final detail page is the packets page. The packet page might be useful for cases where you're looking into resource consumption on your edge devices where they might be seeing a large number of packets. This will help you to narrow it down to start seeing from a packet perspective which AS is sourcing the most packets coming to you. And because we also show this by sources, if you have a particular router that's being exhausted or has some resource limitations, you can filter this view by router, and then immediately all of the statistics are updated again to show you the source AS and dest AS where the most packets are flowing. And as you can see, this is these statistics are in near real time. There is a bit of a time it takes to process, of course, but within a few minutes, the data is available and visible to you in near real time. The other thing to mention as well, let me go back into this page. So the filters can be preserved between pages. So if we, for example, we're troubleshooting an issue with this particular peer, we can apply that change here. and pin this filter. When we pin the filter and move to the next dashboard, the data shown will reflect only the data that corresponds to that pinned filter. And you can see in the source ASN list here, the pinned filter is preserved. But removing this filter and talking about this panel briefly, this panel shows a little bit more detail on the traffic details visible from your network, that your network is communicating. And on this page, there are some details that are useful for starting to narrow down and understand anomalies within your traffic profile. For example, if we change to the last 24-hour window on this page, give that a moment to update the graphs. We can see one of these graphs shows a slight change. It's perhaps notable, perhaps not, but it shows a slight change from the baseline on the average bytes per packet. When you're looking into DDoS attacks, for example, one of the things that this might be useful for is spotting a difference in the average bytes per second, in particular for UDP traffic. And we can add that filter so that we can see just the UDP packets. And all of these graphs now will update to show only data relevant to the UDP protocol. And a spike like this might indicate that there was an attempt to trigger a UDP amplification flood. Now, with this modest increase, that's definitely not conclusive, but the key takeaway here would be to say that starting to dive in and starting to understand what's going on in your network at different times is quite easy, and updating the filters and viewing things based on protocol and stats based on different characteristics of the packets coming into your network is very useful to start an analysis. Again, all of these timeframes are able to be selected and updated. So diving in and starting to narrow down timeframes, you can very quickly see that the spike started at just before 1830 and continued to about just after about 1915 or 1920. And being able to have those data points at your fingertips, right, when you're starting to analyze network performance issues or any anomalies in your network traffic profile, time is of the essence in starting to narrow down where to look next to get the details you need. And this platform easily enables that.
James, just to jump in there, I have a question from John. Is this able to run on top of any existing security tools?
Yes, in most cases, the way that the data flows into this is configured on different devices. In cases where it's configured on the same devices, then there's ways to replicate the data between the solution and other solutions, or vice versa. So it can be run in conjunction with existing platforms in your network. That's a great question, by the way. So that's a brief overview of the network-oriented panels that are available within this product. And one thing I forgot to mention, the overviews page has a standard retention of 1 year. Pages 2 through 5, because they provide more granular details, there's quite a few more data points, and these by default have a retention of 1 week. And diving in now to the alerts page, Team Cymru, our forte is threat intelligence and knowing what's going on worldwide through different threats. And the core value add that we provide into this product is, besides the product itself, is free access to our threat intelligence data. And this is unfettered, unfiltered access. That's the only filter that's applied is that it's traffic flowing through your network. So it's quite relevant to you. The commercial agreements that we enter on these feeds, just to understand the value, these feeds are oftentimes sold at hundreds of thousands of dollars sort of a price range. So we're providing this threat intelligence that's quite valuable in the marketplace for free to you. And that's part of our outreach overall. We want to clean up the internet, if you will, and that's the main reason why we're doing this. On this page, this is all threat related data. This page, we show the count that's over the currently selected time interval of 2 hours. We also show the breakout by protocol and the top channels, again, so you can filter based on where the data is flowing in and out of your network based on your devices. This page shows several different statistics about the threats hitting your network, broken out by top and destination ports, top source and destination IPs, the alert IPs, and the ASNs that are generating the alerts. Going through this, sorry, I forgot to scroll down to the bottom. And then finally at the bottom, we have an event list that's a complete list of all of the things that are communicating on your network that are matching against our threat intelligence. But while that's a broad overview of the threats going on in your network, this is, for larger networks, is rather an unmanageable amount of data, but the interface itself solves that for us. Suppose, suppose I'm playing the role of a SOC manager and I'm wanting to have my team of analysts responding to certain incidents, or abuse desk, I want to respond to a particular incident. Applying a filter by type, if we wanted to just take ISR stealer, for example, clicking here, we update the entire display on this page to be relevant to ISR stealer only. So all of the matches here are ISR stealer. And because everything's broken out by top source and top destination and alert IP, in a way, this creates it's almost a pre-prioritized list. So from an analyst perspective, the data is available to you to understand where you need to start looking for more information on what's going on your network and finding these threats. And from a more management or overview perspective, we have the panels that show the counts over time. And so changing the time window to display, for example, if we change this to 24 hours, let's suppose we had a day period where we set as a team goal reducing a particular threat. You can see the impact of that over time by looking at the count over time. Now, if we set this as a weekly goal or something, we could change the interval to show that weekly, week over week sort of statistics as well. All of the data on this page as well is able to be filtered. So any of these lines here, the particular statistics that or particular metric that you're wanting to filter on is as easy as clicking filter for this value. As soon as you do that, you now see everything updated on that page to show that particular value.
James, just to jump in. Sorry, we've got so many questions, so thank you to everyone. If you could use the Q&A function to add these, just so they're easier for me to see, because we've got so many coming in. So I'll just do a few quickly now. One from Jordan. Is there any logs? Say you notice a specific spike, can you look into these logs?
Yes. Yeah, well, in a matter of speaking, yes. In a way, the entire system is a database. So creating the log would be a matter of filtering, and then the event list at the bottom here would become your log. So for example, if you had a particular host that you were looking into, I guess let me pull one of the top ones just so we have a little bit more data here. We can add this filter, and then everything in the event list at the bottom will update to show the log relevant to that particular filter. Was there another question, Holly?
Oh God, there's plenty. So one from Robert. Can you point cloud provider logs at this?
The input data type is netflow or IPFix or sflow. So any cloud solutions where it allows you to export netflow data or IPFix data or sflow data would work quite well and seamlessly with this product.
Perfect, thank you. And next one from Akin. Is this platform only open to network operators? What is the criteria for registering for this service?
Right, so yes, this platform is oriented towards network operators. In the case of an enterprise network, for example, that would be fine as well. And community-run networks or educational or regional networks is perfectly fine as well. It's not really aimed at the small to medium business market or the residential market. So anything outside of that small to medium business market and residential market space would be the target demographic for this product.
Perfect. Next one from Fabio. So in TC Alert, Nimbus is applying your TI to our specific traffic. Is that right?
That's correct, yes. So everything on this particular dashboard is relevant to the network that the product is configured for.
Perfect, thank you. And just one more from Fabio. Is it possible to filter the threats based on VA results of our network?
VA results. What is VA in this case? Is it AV?
Just says VA. Well, this one, Fabio, if you could just in the chat, just let us know what you mean exactly. Oh, VA, vulnerability analysis or vulnerability assessment.
Right. So one of the nice things about this product overall is it's built on top of Elasticsearch and Kibana, and we don't really filter or restrict your capability to update and create custom dashboards and custom views. So for example, if you were to get a threat or vulnerability report that shows a certain host within your network having issues, you could create a filter where you specify, well, I mean, the most simple filter, and I'm just typing numbers here, so I don't even know if these will have any matches, would be to filter based on CIDR. So you could almost create your own, if you will, vulnerability report out of that. But adding a filter like this will filter all of the results. And this, of course, is creating some errors because I don't have any matching data. But adding a filter like this, you could save this as a dashboard as well. So what I would do if I received a vulnerability assessment and wanted to see the data myself, I would take the indicators that were listed within that vulnerability assessment, and then I would create a filter. The language used in this filtered box is pretty expressive. It's based on Lucene, which underpins a lot of different search platforms that are available in open source platforms. So doing things like adding ORs or even adding complex searches where there's ORs with ands on different terms is all possible. And so while it wouldn't necessarily be you take the vulnerability report and upload it to the platform or something like that, there's a way that you could take that and craft the rules to make it relevant to the vulnerability assessment.
Great, so thank you. Right, one from Frank. How do you get data in? NetFlow, Syslog, etc.? Is there supported integration list?
Yes, so the data coming in, we support NetFlow version, well, we do support NetFlow version 5. We don't recommend it. It doesn't support IPv6, and we probably shouldn't use it anymore as network operators, but we do support NetFlow version 9. We support IPFix, and we support sflow out of the box. If there is some other related flow data type that you're interested in knowing about, then please reach out to us. We have one of the nice things about this product and it being part of our community services is we do look at this like a community platform, and so we want feedback from different network operators on what they're seeing and what they're needing. And part of the way that this has been developed is exactly along those lines. Some of our early testers have given us feedback that directly drove some of the aspects of how the product was developed over time.
All right, a few more to get through. So Dean asked, where is this service and the data hosted/stored?
Right. So the data is hosted and stored via a cloud provider that we've selected as the partner to work with, where we're hosting these instances. Currently, that's DigitalOcean, but we're not necessarily, we don't guarantee that that will be the only solution that we would ever deploy for the backend for this product.
Okay. So from Fabio, I'm working for a government healthcare company. Is the product available also for this kind of environment / customer, or are we too small?
So yes, it would be there. What I would encourage you to do is apply for it, and then if we had any problems on our side or anything to discuss further with you, then we would start that conversation. But anyone is more than welcome to apply for it. And right now, in particular, we're approving. Well, I haven't seen us deny anyone. Let me say it that way. So.
Great stuff. Right, Francesco, is there a roadmap for Nimbus with topics like rogue DNS communication information on a dashboard, in addition to other information that we can sort of flows, cross with a base / list of C2 / CNC like Fredo, which tries to catalog C2 and CNC of botnets like Emotet and its variables from abuse.ch. Would this be possible on a dashboard?
So I guess I have a few things to comment there. I think you might be on this call, but we've recently added a product manager that will be focused on the putting together the future roadmap for this. That roadmap isn't cast in stone, and it's being updated. So if he is on this call, I'm pretty sure he probably took notes, or he's copying that right out of the chat or QA window. Because the underlying platform is an unrestricted ELK and Kibana instance, there's a lot of things that we can do, but in terms of modular dashboards. And one of the things that we've discussed, and I'm getting ahead of myself here because it's not something that we're offering right now, but one of the things we've discussed is the possibility of us pushing from centrally from us to all of the instances, dashboards that are topical at a particular time. Now, again, these are only topical to a particular threat at a particular time. Again, these are only conversations at this point, but now that we're starting to put together the roadmap, we hope to be able to share that. And of course, we expect to reach out to all of the current partners as well as community members to understand what we need to build into that roadmap. So that's part of the answer there. The other part is that the platform is an unfiltered ELK and Kibana instance. So even in terms of these visualizations, the user of the system can add whatever platform that they want, or whatever visualization they want into the system. And they can also create custom dashboards. We've created the stock set of dashboards that we have in this list based on the historical feedback that we've received thus far, as well as what we believe is useful to see. But the system itself is unrestricted, which allows power users to turn it into whatever they want it to show in terms of their for their particular network. And for these dashboards, and because the dashboards are unrestricted, if you do add filters and you wanted to, for example, have a filter that's for a particular botnet, Emotet is probably in this list, but I don't know where it would rank in terms of the size. But if you had a particular botnet, yeah, here we are, that we wanted to focus on, for example, Emotet, then you can add that as a filter and then save this as another dashboard by cloning the dashboard and then saving it. I won't click through all those details, but yeah, you can clone the dashboards and save it. The other thing that I didn't get around to mentioning quite yet that might be useful for that use case is that there's a share link here. So if you wanted to create a permalink to the particular view that you have configured on your instance, these permalinks you can create and then embed them like in a ticketing system or some sort of response system so that your teams can work on them, or that you can track them over time as well.
I just want to say thank you so much for all of your questions, guys. I'll take one more and then we'll carry on with the demo, or I think we'll be here all day. So more specifically, is this service/data hosted in the US? I have restrictions on data sitting outside of the US. Restrictions are similar to US federal agency. And is there a limit to the amount of devices feeding the system?
So there isn't a limit to the amount of devices that are feeding the system. For the placement of the data, the instance can be placed at hosting providers around the world. Right now, I believe DigitalOcean has something like 8 to 9 different locations where we're actively deploying instances. So if you have a concern like that, I would encourage you to apply. And then during the conversation with our staff or in the application notes, mention what your concern is, and we'll respond and let you know what we can accommodate and what we cannot accommodate.
Great stuff, thank you.
Excellent. So I think through the questions, we actually hit several of the bullet points that I wanted to talk about on this panel. Going back into the dashboards, I wanted to highlight this dashboard as well. This dashboard is, in a way, up to this point, everything that we've looked at is matches against your particular network based on the active data that you're contributing to it and being filtered through our threats. But when your network itself is the hosting network for the threat that we've identified, we've broken that out into a slightly different format here. We call this daily reports, or the compromised device / remediation list. In a way, this is you can think of it maybe as like a good neighbor sort of dashboard. As a good neighbor and a good network operator around the world, there's in some ways a duty to operate a cleaner network, because hosts on your network may be victimizing other parts of the world or other networks and exacerbating the entire threats across the entire globe. This list creates that, or this page shows the hosts that fall into that particular category. And this, from a historical perspective, and just a minor note here, but this is very similar to the list of data that we share about the threats that we detect to the national and regional CERT teams. This is formatted in a way that they can process that and understand from a overall demographic perspective across all the networks that are within their remit. And I guess the other component to that is our vision, and the way that we treat our community services is we're enabling network operators to help themselves and help each other. So when your network subscribes to one of our services, the data that's processed in turn informs some of our other processing, so that we can start identifying, we can continue to identify networks network assets and like bots and proxies around the world. So being part of this network, you're in a way joining a community that Team Cymru is your partner and your steward for that community, where we help all the members of the community, and your contributions help the entire visibility across that entire set. So it's almost network operators helping other network operators. In fact, I would say that it is network operators helping other network operators, with Team Cymru being the community liaison or steward. But this page could be functionally used as the I guess, top hit list or something for, like that for a SOC manager or a SOC team or abuse team to start at right away before even looking at any of the alerts pages. Knock these out, and in your posture outward facing is going to be improved quite dramatically as soon as you start addressing these concerns. And then going to the final dashboards here, some of the other dashboards have different tags on the data where the tags aren't, it's just not appropriate to share the entire definition of what that tag means. This dashboard will give you more information on what that particular threat is or what that particular category corresponds to. So if you ever have a question about it, then viewing this dashboard will help you to understand what that threat might be. We also contain some other standards governed information. For example, these are the registered ports for UDP and TCP. Again, these are searchable as well. So if you just need a quick reference to say like, well, I saw a port mentioned over here and I don't know exactly what that is. Is that an unassigned port or is it a registered port? You can search in this page and find it quite quickly. And then finally, in some views, you might see a numeric value that corresponds to a set of TCP flags. And if you ever need to like resolve that back to the character notation of what the flag is, then we provide the mapping of the numeric value to the TCP flag in the like abbreviated alphabet sense. And then I talked about this a little bit before, but I want to mention, like, in all of these things, all of these dashboards, you can clone all of them, configure your own. And if you have some particular task that you want to do that we're not accommodating, you can create your own dashboards. If you do create your own dashboards and have some innovative way of seeing something and it's working quite well for you, then I would strongly encourage you to share that with us, because there might be other network operators that would benefit from the same dashboard. And we would love to be able to work with you to understand your needs, as well as to take those needs and contribute those back to the community of network operators that we work with, so that other network operators have an easier time accomplishing whatever particular problem you just solved via your dashboard. Then one final thing to mention, within the Discover tab, if you ever really need to get down to the nitty-gritty of here, let me go back to the default display. If you ever need to get down to the nitty-gritty of the particular details and you want to pull up the particular information that's stored and want to view it, then we have several different ways that we're breaking the data out and aggregating it. And the data is all available through this page as well. This page is just a little more, it's more heavy on the data and not quite as pretty, not quite as conveniently presented as some of the dashboards. And if you do find yourself having to come here often, then please do reach out to us, because we would like to know what it is that you're finding you have to come to this page for. But the data and the availability of this page it's still at your fingertips. So if you do need to dive in via this page, it is here. And I think, Holly, that's all I have prepared. So are there any final questions?
We do. So how long did it take to get set up after registering?
Great. The registration process is reviewed on a daily basis, working day basis, and the system provisioning is now an automated process. So it's on our side, it's a very quick review. We click a few buttons and then we send you an email telling you where your system is, what your credentials are, and you're ready to go. So the time from registration to system being available, our target is 24 to 48 hours during the business week. And we fall within that quite regularly. So it's quite easy, quite quick to get it all up and running for you.
Great. So Fabio, I'm in the EU and under GDPR and local regulation. So I'd like to know which controls we have on our data. Can we exercise the right of deletion?
Right. So for as far as the controls go, let's have a specific conversation about those needs. What I can say is our legal counsel internally has worked with external GDPR specific legal counsel and consultants and reviewed this product as well as all of the governing agreements that are entered into between Team Cymru and the partner networks. And all of that has come back favorably, saying that there aren't GDPR concerns with this product and those agreements. But that's the broad answer. The more specific questions, Fabio, if you could just email me afterwards and we can talk about the more specific concerns.
Perfect. And he also says, are there any strong authentication methods to access dashboards, such as MFA? Right.
So currently the dashboard is we're not doing 2FA or MFA on the dashboard panel. The credentials are shared. Everything right now, everything, of course, I didn't show the authentication, but everything was authenticated before I jumped into this.
Stuff. A question from John. NetFlow is inherently unidirectional. Does Nimbus provide rebuilding bidirectional conversations?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question. NetFlow is unidirectional. The data can be exported in both directions. So you can export on ingress and egress. So you can see the communications on in both directions. The product and the way that the data is processed, the sessions are not reconstructed and summarized, in large part because in most cases the data doesn't have enough resolution for us to be able to confidently reconstruct the sessions. So the sessions are summarized rather than reconstructed, if that makes sense.
Great. So last few minutes to ask your questions. So have you received any feedback or have any success stories of people using this?
Yeah. So I don't have them at my fingertips, but we have received several bits of feedback from some of our current subscribers. One person noted that they were quite keen on the ability to see which BGP peers they would benefit from a peering relationship on, and the fact that that was at their fingertips helped them to configure or pursue some peering arrangements that they may not have previously or otherwise been able to see. That in that case, as well as other cases, we oftentimes hear of network operators that just they don't have the threat intelligence data they need to run their network or help to clean up their network at their fingertips. And this product, diving into it, they were able to clearly see the threats that were running on their networks and that their networks were targeted by. And in at least two cases, people came away with a greater certainty and a greater understanding of what is happening on their networks, and they were able to remediate threats that they previously had no idea were running within their networks.
Great stuff. So I think I haven't got any questions that I can see. I think we just end. Francisco's put a lovely comment in the chat. He goes, thanks, James. Once again, I'd like to thank Team Cymru for the excellent community analytical tool, IMHO, a good contribution, deep gratitude.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Fabio.
But yeah.
And thanks to everyone for being here. I appreciate the opportunity, especially thank you, LINX, for giving me this opportunity.
No, James, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. Oh, one quick one. Remind us how to sign up. An important one.
Yeah, let me switch the screen that I'm sharing. And we'll flip to the link at the bottom here is the link to the Nimbus Threat Monitor website directly. But if you go to our website, team-cymru.com, and click community services, then I believe it's the top one listed within that menu option of Nimbus Threat Monitor. But also, once you're there, take a look at the other community services we offer as well, because there's other things that are within that same realm of we're trying to help network operators to make running their networks easier and safer.
Right, well, perfect. Thank you for that, James. That link has just been added into the chat, so thank you for that. So James, thank you again for this great demo, and thank you all for joining us. I mean, you've definitely kept both myself and James on our toes with all the questions, so we really appreciate that. Thank you very much. So this session has been recorded and will be live on our LINX page with all our other content shortly. We hope you enjoyed this session. If you have any other questions for James, LINX, or myself, please email us at marketing@linx.net, and we'll either put you in touch with James, or we'd love to even grab a virtual coffee with you, as that's what's going to happen for 2021 onwards. And yeah, I just want to say thank you all for joining us. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.